You are listening to the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, where you discover management insights and strategies for your successful dental practice. There are also interviews with key people in the industry who have advice and services to help you and your team achieve great success. Welcome to this episode of the Julie Parker Practice Success Podcast, and today I've got a returning guest, but for a completely different reason. Welcome back, Rebecca VanZutphen. How are you?
I'm well, Julie. Thank you for having me back. This is very exciting.
This is very exciting because this is a different way of servicing dental practices out there. For people that haven't heard of you or know the reason why you were here the first time, you were here with your partner, Dr. Heath Fraser, in the business of AirSmile. Tell us very briefly about AirSmile, then we're going to jump into your new project.
Great. Yes. So AirSmile's been around for about 4 years now. So we've got about 250 dentists on board. So we're an online directory, patient facing. So it's an online platform, an engagement tool for practices to be able to gather new patients, which is great. And we're actually about to launch a new feature within the platform called Secure Correspondence. So it allows practices to send patient records and documents to their colleagues in a secure way. So we're going to be launching that very soon. So keep a lookout for that.
Oh, that is tremendous. And
Yes.
We'll make sure that we put the link to the previous episode on this podcast about AirSmile and the link to AirSmile itself. So if people are intrigued to find out more, they can just go directly there. And I do encourage you.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Pleasure. Now, today, we're talking about stage dental coaching. Tell us a little bit about who you serve, but then I want to go back into your history a little bit. What is stage dental coaching?
Okay, so I started stage dental coaching probably 18 months ago, so it's relatively new. So my background, maybe if I start there, it might help ease into that.
Perfect.
So I have been in the dental industry for about 22 years, which is amazing. I still love it, still have all the passion in the world for it. So I've pretty much done every acronym there is with the support team, you know, the DA, the FOC, the TC, the BM, the PM. So I've taken that experience and skill set, and I'm now applying that into my coaching and consulting business, which is Stage Dental. And it was born, I guess, from AirSmile. So I have been fortunate to work with the Avenue Dental Group for the majority of my career, which has been wonderful. But stepping outside of that and seeing the challenges that practices face, you know, dealing with multiple practices, I really wanted to, and this is where AirSmile was born for me. It was a way for me to help businesses grow. But that's a really big grand scale thing. I really like being the boots on the ground girl. So taking those skills that I have got from my experiences working in the clinical setting, I now work one-on-one with either the owner or the practice manager or the support team, helping them actually in the practice. So that could be one-on-one coaching through virtual leadership development and management skill sets, or it could be me going into the practice itself and actually chairside assisting with the dentist, then spending time with them afterwards going, this is what worked, this is what, you know, we could improve on. So really having that one-on-one relationship right there, seeing what they're doing in the practice and then working on those skills directly, which has been amazing. I absolutely love it. So that's one aspect, yes.
Lovely. That kind of role-playing, observation and providing tips on site is just such an amazing way of growing and developing your skills quickly. I mean, a lot of people are a little bit shy about adopting that because they're like, oh, I don't want to be critiqued. I don't want the feedback.
Yes.
I want to be seen as competent. But it's just fast tracking your learning when you open yourself up to that opportunity.
Absolutely. And when you do get over those nerves and you're like, okay, you know, she's here to help, you know, it's all coming from a good place. We all want the same thing. But it's just something you don't get from a workshop or a webinar. You know, you're going there and it's, you know, and it's great, but then you've got to go back and try and implement it. And it's very easy to get back into your old habits and your old ways. Whereas if you have somebody there that understands what you're trying to achieve, and then they could go, hang on, whoa, you know, this happened, or we could tweak that and improve on that. I find that just absolutely escalates the skills development, in that way. So
because under normal circumstances, when you're reading it in a book or an article or you're watching a video, or you are being told what to do over a Zoom call, or even in a staff, in the staff waiting room, and you're out there doing a workshop. The process of absorbing the information and understanding it and thinking, yeah, I can see how all that would work. That is the very first step of adjusting behavior and getting the results. And without the second step, it's never going to happen. And that second step is actually adapting it and taking action on those bits and pieces and making sure that it's applied, that knowledge that you've learned and discovered. And so there's nothing like bringing you on site physically. And you also do virtual work as well?
I do, yes, I do. Yeah, absolutely. This day and age, everyone's so busy. It's very hard for me to come into all the practices and do that. So, I mean, you have to have that virtual element as well, which is all part of the supportive, coaching, consulting sort of space that we work in. So I really enjoy doing that. And then I have recently started helping startups. So again, something that I identified is really real gap in the market that's really needed. And there's a lot of new practice owners out there, very ambitious owners, which is really exciting for the industry. But it can be an absolute whirlwind and so overwhelming, for new owners, for new business owners. So I take that skill set again and I apply that to helping them establish their new practice. So I start working with them, 6 to 9 months before they open the door. And I am their administrative buddy, I guess you could say. So I walk with them through the entire process. And if they need systems implemented or documentations created or website development, I'm there with them the entire step of the way. So I've really been able to alleviate a lot of the burden that they feel because they're often still in clinic themselves. They haven't stopped working. They're still Monday to Friday seeing patients. And so I can be that support person for them. So I'm really excited about that side of the business, growing and helping those new businesses become out there in the community, which is great.
And it's such a powerful thing that you said that you start working with them 6 to 8 months before they actually open their doors. That's enormously important. And I was going to ask you, with your work with new startup businesses, what's one of the things or a series of the things that they can get wrong if they don't know about it? And I suppose that's one of the things is that ability to, boots on the ground real early to make sure you're walking into a practice that really already has patients booked in.
Yes. Yeah. So what I found, and I think is one of the most important things, and you do start this at the very early stage, which is that brand identity, brand development side of things. And it's not really in your mindset, you're like, I want to open up a practice and this is going to be great. And, they're all gung-ho about getting the chair and the equipment and then, all that. So that's just really fun. And so when I come in, I'm like, okay, we're going to create your mission and your vision statement and who you are as a brand and who you want your team to be and look like. And, they're just like, oh, really? It just seems so fluffy. But when we do work on that, it really cements and drives home why they're doing it, who they're serving, it focuses on their key services that they want. Like, it just encompasses so much. And so I love doing that part of the process, which happens, that's probably in month 1 when I start working with new startups. That's what we work on first because it helps me guide them as well. If we start getting off on a tangent and, we're going down some path, I'm like, whoa, come back. This is actually what we were hoping to achieve. This is your vision. This is where you want to take the practice and that. So establishing that even before you choose a location, for example, it allows you to be able to go, well, who is my target demographic that I want to work with? Are they in this area before I go setting up shop right there? So even things like that, I think is so important. So establishing that brand identity is number 1.
Absolutely. And that vision does drive everything else. As you say, it drives the location, how much space you're going to end up needing, possibly so you don't have to relocate to add more surgeries. And when you think about it, if they have got a clear picture and we know that this is an organic image that we have in our head. It changes and over time and with experiences as you're building up the business. But to get that idea of right now, this is the kind of client that's going to really appreciate the services that I want to deliver. They are residing in one area and they like to be managed by a certain type of team member as well. So it impacts recruitment as well.
100%, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, it is everything, because if, like I said, if you start going off on some tangent and you've decided that, well, I'm going to provide, facial injections, something a little bit different and unique in that area, but that demographic is kind of not into that, then, your skill set could potentially be wasted in there. It might not be. You might be introducing it into that area, which is great. But you don't know that unless you kind of do a bit of a pros and cons list, and identify that as well. So that would probably be my next thing that I would say. I think new practice owners don't necessarily spend a lot of time on is sourcing the right location for their business. So aligning it with their vision and their mission, exactly what you were saying. It can quickly become an emotional or a personal decision. Oh, well, I want to find somewhere that's 5 or 10 minutes drive from my home, for example, or this is a cheaper lease. It might not be the ideal perfect location, but overheads, I've got to keep costs down, so I'll choose this location over that one. And that could, just those two things alone could make or break the practice and the success in the long run. So having somebody who that's their skill set, and that's not mine necessarily, but finding an expert that can help you source that right location for you and your needs, I think is so important. And I don't think everybody does it when they start up any business, really. But I can't stress enough how important that really is to do.
Oh, certainly. That's for sure. That's for sure. And whenever I have met up with people on that journey from practice ownership from the very first startup all the way through to well established, one of the journeys that dentists go on is that at the very start, you just need to fill those books and you need to get as many patients in as possible. And then over time, as your book becomes busy, you can start to be a little bit more choosy about who you treat. And so that's where you can start having that kind of luxury, in a sense, of being able to, the difficult patients who are very difficult to please or argumentative or don't really fit in your niche, they can slowly be weeded out, and you start becoming far more focused into your niche within your marketing and promotion as well. And so I think it's an easy trap to fall into. I just want a building to start things off with, but do have in mind that at some point in the future, hopefully very soon in the future, you're going to be able to really start to pick and choose what's going on within your business. So getting that vision happening at the very start is important. And would you agree too, sometimes vision's a difficult one for people because they think, I just want my own practice. That's my vision. I can't get more specific than that right now.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, it can seem, dentists, they're very scientific, very clinical, and then, we come in and we're like, oh, how are you feeling about that? And tell me, what's your big dreams? And we've got all these airy fairy in their mind, but it is, having that groundwork, that foundation laid early on, it's your North Star, exactly what you said. It may not be what you want the practice to be when you open on day one, but what do you want it to be in 5 years from now? And unfortunately, that's how you get there. It doesn't just magically happen, and, it takes hard work and dedication and, following that track all the way. And I guess that's where having a coach or a consultant or somebody that can help drive that for you. So like I said, when you are starting to get a little bit off track, you're like, hang on, coming back, or great, we're changing direction. Like you said, okay, we've identified that there's a gap in the market here in this location. Let's bring on a new associate or some other piece of tech that's going to fill that gap. And now we can bring in those types of patients. So, it can change, but having it from the start, I think, is absolutely vital.
Yeah, that's it. And with startups as well, we're kind of focusing on that group at the moment. By the time your first day comes where you've got your first patient, it's at that point you want everything running smoothly. You don't want to be the brand new practice that opens up and patients coming in and experiencing it for the first time and going, gee, they don't quite have everything under control just yet. Yes. And so the staff members need to have been employed and on board with the goals and the vision and trained into, this is how we're going to behave. This is how we're going to deliver the treatment to patients consistently as a group. But also, these are all the systems and the standard operating procedures that we're going to be doing here. So when that first person comes in, we're not looking around going, oh, where's the new patient form? And, and we're
100%.
going to be seeing this person for the first time.
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. One of the things that I like, all of that needs to be in place. One of the big ones I find is the ordering and stock system. You know, the backbone of the of a new practice. And again, that's something that needs to start being thought about and happening, you know, 4 or 5 months before the doors open, because it takes time to decide the equipment that you'd like to buy. I remember when one of my first bosses, they with the startup that I worked for, and you know, he just took the list of of the equipment from the material from the last practice and just set that off to, you know, Henry Schein or whatever, and then all this stuff started arriving, and we're like, we don't use that. Why are you doing that? You know? So, you know, it can quickly become a very overwhelming process. And again, having somebody like myself who has a background knowledge of how to set up a stock control system and talking to the reps and, you know, getting the good deals and then actually unpacking the stock and putting it in some sort of order or system. So like you said, on day one, when you've got a new team and everyone's really excited, you're like, well, oh, hang on, where's the rubber dam? You know, who put that away? You know?
And so there's such an enormous amount of spending going on when you're establishing your first practice, isn't there? And so recognizing where to spend some of those funds is important. Stock is one of them. Like, how much stock are we going to have sitting on the shelves? In essence, cash sitting on the shelves. You know, we don't want to be running out of anything either. But also with technology and equipment, there's your basic stuff that you need to get through. You know, your compressor and your drills and your chair.
Yes.
But then there's the additional, you know, the scanner, the OPG machine, the other additional bits and pieces that will certainly help and attract patients and help you on your path forward. But it is an area where if you don't have any kind of control over it, you could spend a lot very quickly.
Very quickly, yes. It can be very daunting, you know, and you know, you go to a trade show and you're just all cashed up because the bank's approved your loan, and you just go spending like crazy. So again, having that systemized and you know, somebody to hold you accountable, I guess, and go, well, this is the kind of service that you wanted to deliver. Therefore, we do need intraoral cameras, because you've decided that comprehensive new patient exams and treatment planning, you know, and big case acceptance, that's where you want to go. And so you're going to need those tools to be able to help you with that treatment planning and conversations that you're going to be having. So just things like that, you know, even down to your practice management software. I mean, that in itself can be a bit of a minefield. There's so many options now, you know, gone are the days where it's either paper file or there was one or two on the market. Now you've got cloud-based, or you've got, you know, integrated things, and oh my goodness, it's AI. It's just an absolute minefield. So, you know, all these decisions need to be made, and sometimes just having a person to bounce that off is all that's needed. You know, let's go, like I said, the pros and cons list, but let's just flesh it out together, and then we can come up with a decision. Whereas if you sort of sitting there just like losing your mind a little bit, you go around in circles, unfortunately, or spend too much.
And it's interesting too. We were, you know, you and I are part of a little dentalpreneurs group of people who service dental practices and the profession to help them be more successful. And you know, getting as many opinions as possible is a very good thing, or even though you feel like the amount of information coming through is overwhelming. One of the classic examples, of course, is Dr. Ros Franklin, who does a lot around infection control. And there are dental fit-out companies out there that are uninterested in her opinion about how the staring room should be set up so it flows well and works very well and becomes a very efficient airspace. It can be quite inefficient in the setup. And so you think, I'm doing the right thing by just going down the path of just getting the dental fit out people to organise that side of things. But I tell you what, people who are working on the ground running for many, many years, and experts like Dr. Ros Franklin, can add such an enormous amount of good advice that's going to really get you in good stead for the coming time. So I imagine in your position, Rebecca, you know, are currently and always going to be continuing to get those kind of circle of experts around you that can be able to provide useful information going forward.
Absolutely, yes, exactly that. You know, when we met with Ros the other week, even myself, you know, like I said, I've been boots on the ground all these years, and it's not really something that you think about, but having that network around me has been so valuable. You know, I can talk to the the fit out guys, and work with them and go, okay. And then if I'm a little bit unsure, you go to your sources and someone like Roz and go, look, we're developing this steri room or the clinical flow. Give us your opinion, and she's open to that. Everyone's so supportive in this field, and I absolutely love it. Again, it just comes back to that passion. Everyone wants to see everybody succeed, and having that network and somebody like us that can introduce new practice owners to that world, I think is so valuable for them.
It is so valuable, and you're as good as the amount of information that you can gather to then decide for yourself about what's right for you. In terms of team training, do you assist with the recruitment and training up of team members? And when we're talking about a startup in particular, how does that work?
Yeah, that's again. So the team hiring is we start that probably 2 months out. So you want to place the ad, and we go through that process. So I have all of that system in place that I can assist the new owner with. And it depends. Some owners, they like to be really hands-on with that particular process, which I absolutely encourage. And then others are like, look, just bring me the top 3 or something like that. So, it's each to their own, whatever they choose to do. So ideally you would bring them on, 3 weeks or so beforehand. And I mean, again, costs is involved with all of that. So that's, we work with that. But it allows us an opportunity to be able to do those. We run workshops, like full day workshops, and we come back to that branding, that identity, who we are, what we're trying to achieve, the big goal, where we're trying to get to. So you're showing them that North Star, and you're getting that buy-in from your new team, and a bit of team bonding as well. You have happy hour and you go and do something. And so it's really fun and exciting. So when you do open on day one, you're not like, oh, what was your name again? Sorry.
What role are you here?
Yeah, that's right. So investing in that, and I get them to help with going back to that stock control. They're part of that whole process of setting up the practice. So when the builders leave, you come in, they're there, and they know where the rubber dam is because they put it away. So, they're part of that system setup as well in those early days, which is really exciting for them. Like when you're part of that initial, like that, it becomes a bit your baby then, and so that's really great as well. So I can see that they really enjoy that process if you do bring them on that little bit earlier.
And it is like a different characteristic of person. There are people out there that say, no, I want to just, I don't like change so much. I don't like things being unsure. I want to go into a well-established practice that's got all their systems down pat already. But other people look at this opportunity of helping a startup come up. They've got experience already. It's always great to have experienced people on the ground as well, so you can leverage off all of their knowledge
Absolutely.
and wisdom. And they are terribly excited by this side of it and are highly energetic around it. And so when it does come to, we've got to refer off to an endodontist. Oh, who's the local endodontist? Where's the referral pads? All those sort of things. They're on it. They're like, don't you worry, I'll find one. We know this person.
Absolutely.
All the things.
Oh, yes. If you can get a gem like that, and quite often we do, somebody will come from, their key person from their last practice, or somebody that they've, known for a long time, who's been waiting in the wings for them to open their practice. They come on board as well, which is great because they already have that support there from day one, which I always love, but that's not always the case, obviously. So yes, I love that. I love it. Just again, going back to why I'm so passionate about what I do is because you are helping a support staff member grow. They do want to be part of the business. Not all of them. Some just like to clock in and clock out, and that's great. They're doing their job. But for the ones that, are probably more like-minded like me, where I love the business side of dentistry. I love bringing in new patients and marketing and finding ways to do that. And there is plenty of people out there like me. And so when you give them, if they've been sort of clinical all this time, and now they've seen this opportunity where they can rise to the ranks and have a real play in how a business forms, that is really exciting. Really exciting.
That is exciting. And what an energy to come into every day. And that way, it's not all on that new dental practice owner's shoulders. That's where overwhelm can happen real quick. And I suppose that's part of it too. I was going to mention very quickly before I jump into you helping them with managing all of the tasks that needs to be done and bring organisation to it. But just, getting those staff members on board, starting the process a couple of months early, starting to pay them that wage, whether they're on site working on patients or not, bringing them in so you can actually start getting these systems and processes down pat, team training, getting everyone aligned, etc. That's all your preparation to make sure you're hitting the ground running day one, and it's as flawless as it can possibly be. It won't be flawless, but it's as perfect as it possibly can be, and money well spent.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. So anybody that's thinking of startup, put that in your business plan.
Yeah, that's it. So this is the thing too. There's so many things. I'm going to want to talk to you a little bit about the marketing and promotion of a new business as well. But marketing, promotion, team stuff, standard operating procedures, leadership, management stuff, team meetings, staff performance reviews. None of this is about patients yet. So then we've got patient interactions and patient support and all the reception operations. How we're going to do recalls, the dental software, all of the things. Are we going to do performance indicators? All of the things.
All of the things, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff can start getting really overwhelming. And I think over time, through experience, we start to learn, because it's overwhelming, we start to learn how to prioritise, how to systematise, how to make sure we don't have this huge to-do list every single day that gets us down. You would be able to help them with organisation of thoughts and tasks.
Absolutely. That is probably one of the biggest values that I bring, I think, in this role, is because you can't, they're so emotionally invested in it. And like I said, they are still working clinically, so they're still dealing with the day-to-day, patient management. But then it is so easy to become overwhelmed and everything just kind of blows up a little bit. And you're like, well, it's actually not that big of a deal. That we can push to here, or we can delegate that to somebody else, or I can take it off your hands for you. Like there's usually always a work through, but in that heightened state that they're in for that 6 or 12 months before they're opening, and which it is, it's stressful. There's a lot of money involved. Like you said, a lot of decisions that need to be made and other people's lives at stake. You're hiring a team probably for the first time and you feel that responsibility. It's scary. It is really scary. And so, to have that, like I said, that buddy, that person with you to go, it's okay. And whether a coach of some description, it doesn't necessarily have to be me, of course, but I guess where I come in is just like, I can give me that. I can take that for you,
You're not just telling them this is what you should be doing, go find someone to do it. You're saying, I can do that for you.
I can do it. Let me. Yeah.
And I think you're right too, because with that big financial investment, the big career investment, it's an investment of self as well. So of course, what's attached to that? Fear of failure.
Oh, yeah.
And gosh, what if? And I think when you do have that buddy with you that's been through stuff already, seen it happen over and over again, and has that different level of management of these sort of fears that kind of can crop up, we start to recognise if you just didn't worry so much, you'd be able to get so much done. And we can help those sort of people. You can help those sort of people know what to do with those unhelpful thoughts, so you can just keep ploughing on through and reaching success quicker.
Absolutely, yes. And just bringing them back to that original conversation that we had. Why are you doing this? Why is it important to you? And it's different reasons for everybody, obviously, but knowing that and having that to come back to ground you in those moments of crazy, and having somebody, I guess, to call you on it. And it's like, come on, we're almost there. Let's go.
Yeah, that's it. And so from the marketing and promotional side of things, I guess this is sometimes can be one of those things that's possibly left a little bit late, or it's a lost opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, again, it's one of those things you don't think about, the time that it takes to build a website. I had no idea, and this is where AirSmile comes in, having that background from a digital marketing perspective. It takes a long time to build a really good website. And so, they originally, normally they come in and they're like, I'll just do it myself. Or my wife's made a website before. She's just going to do it. And you're like, oh, okay. And then they quickly learn, well, no, this is absolute minefield and I'm not even going to touch that. So that's great. Leave that up to the experts, and that's not me. But again, going back to, I have a network of people that can help us do that. And then I can work with them and project manage that whole thing for them, so they don't have to worry about it. They can go and shop for chairs and things like that. But yes, I mean, a website alone should start production 6 months out, because it can take, 3 to 4 months to get built and established and all the content written for that. And then you want to launch that. Like, you want to have that up and going, 6 weeks before you open, with online booking availability. So getting your practice management system up and rolling so you can start accepting new patients. So when you do open the doors on day one, you've got a chair full of patients.
How beautiful is that? Can you imagine, before you've even got the place running, you've got people put in, and this is, again, you need the software system to be able to book them in, but you see this slowly growing book all ready for day one. That's a thrill.
It's incredible, and marketing is so important. Getting gurus on board that can help you with that, and understanding, going back to who are we treating, who's the demographic, making sure that our website and what we're saying is talking to the people that we want to bring in. If you've got an older demographic community, you're probably not going to have a TikTok account going with I don't know, an Instagram famous model on it or something like that. I mean, maybe you will, but you're probably going to more go towards your branding and the words that you use in your language is going to be more directed to an older demographic. So it takes a lot of thought to come up with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people go, oh no, a lot of older people are on Facebook. Do they buy off Facebook though? Do they go to Facebook to find their local dentist? No, they might have an account, but they're kind of there randomly every few days or every few weeks or every few months. And so that's a very important thing to highlight, that, who are, coming back to your vision, who are our ideal clients and where are they residing, what messaging appeals to them, and how would they actually, if they were going to go and find a new dentist, how would they actually find that person?
That's right.
To come from that perspective of, if you were going to a restaurant, brand new build, you'd been excitedly watching it develop up, and they had a website on the sign out the front, we're coming soon, so you're jumping on the website, you understand what the menu's going to be like and what kind of theme that restaurant's under, and then you go there for the first time, you think about what your expectations would be as a new patron. You'd be understanding of any hiccups, but you generally want a positive experience. And this is exactly what patients want as well. You want those first few people saying, oh, that new place is awesome, you got to go down and check it out.
Oh, 100%. You've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what you're seeking, but it all takes planning and time, and bringing in experts.
Yeah. Get in early.
Get in early, exactly. Yes, can't stress that enough.
So we do encourage anybody who is thinking about even just considering buying their own practice to get in contact with you. Just have a chat. Do you provide online chats with people so they can just get a feel for the sort of preparation they need to go to?
Yeah, of course, because it depends what stage they're at. Are you sitting there today listening to this and going, oh, actually, I've been thinking about starting up a practice. I don't know what's involved or where I even begin. Well, that's one chat. Or have you've got your fit out and that's happening and everything's up and rolling, and then you're kind of pulling your hair out and getting more and more grey hairs as the days go by, at that stage too. So it's just establishing where you're at in your startup journey, and then how I can integrate myself into that to help the launch happen.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to be providing all those links to be able to get a discovery call or an online session or whatever they're called happening. But what about more established practices that have been around 10, 20, 30 years, and they feel like they need to kind of get a little bit more success happening? How can you help them?
Okay, well, you could probably help them, Julie. But for me, like I said, I feel like where my skill set lies is being able to come into the practice and work one-on-one. So, things that I've enjoyed in the past I've found really works is working with, say, an associate dentist. So let's just say you've employed a new dentist, you're the owner, you've employed a new dentist, they've been there for 6 months, so they're feeling comfortable, but now you've identified that there's some maybe communication skills or treatment planning or team, working with the team or whatever it may be. I can come in, I get in my scrubs and I am there, and so I just integrate myself into the team for a day or two or however long we've decided. And, we run workshops based off that. So it's it's very specific to the needs of that business or that individual that I'm working with. So I really love doing that. And outside of that, it's coaching, one-on-one monthly sessions with practice managers. I love working with practice managers. I feel like they're not supported enough, and it's a very, very, very hard job. And then obviously the business owners, I feel like they do get a lot of support. There is a lot of amazing people out there that can help business owners, and I think more and more that's being taken up, which is great. So I think for me, my passion is to help with the support team, like I said, the managers and the associates and the support staff in the practice. Yeah. So contacting me and, whatever you're doing.
I love that that's the kind of work that you love doing, Beck, because quite often we have associate dentists that have the capability of becoming more efficient or more productive or less stressed, maybe a better communicator with patients, with team members. And the instruction is generally just get better by the owner.
Yeah.
But it needs to be far more hands-on than that. If anyone could just get better, they would. I mean, that's one of our desires, one of our drivers in life is to master what we do. And so if we're not mastering it, it means that there's a knowledge gap there somewhere. And nothing like getting there on site, like we were saying at the start of this podcast episode, getting there on site and have somebody who's so experienced in this space to observe you and go, you could get better results if you're doing it this way or that way, or saying this or saying that, or saying it in this way or that way. That's enormously impactful. And over my years as a consultant, many times I've said, can't you just come in on site and help out? And having you out there to be able to do that, that's going to be enormous. And when you were mentioning about practice managers too, I've always thought that a wonderful thing would be for practices, because quite often practice managers are coming into the role because they've been the dental assistant or the receptionist for a long period of time. They know the workings of everything, but those more soft skills, how to motivate team members, how to turn a performance around that might be lagging, how to artfully manage disgruntled patients or complaining patients, how to get that new grade associate dentist develop their communication skills, all of those sort of things. What a wonderful thing for practice managers to have a buddy beside them to say, this is my latest dilemma, can you help me through it?
Oh, absolutely, Julie. And I think, like myself, so I was fortunate to have that happen to me. I think that's why I'm so, invested in that, because having your own coach as a manager, one, I felt really valued by my boss, that they would invest in me in that way and allow me the time to grow. I mean, obviously it helped their business, but I leave with those skills. So, you're investing in me, which is great. So I felt really valued from that. And once I got over the shock of having somebody come in and critique me, because, as you said earlier, nobody likes that, they're here to help, and I really embraced that process and I absolutely loved it. And I think that's sort of what helped me skyrocket and build my confidence, really, is what it was. Like you said, I had the skills. I just, either the application or time management or those sorts of soft skills that you need to actually execute something well is really where I was lacking. So I really enjoyed that process. Yes. Go practice managers. Yay.
Go practice managers. That's it. There's help out there.
There is. Yes. Give us a call. Exactly.
And I often tell this story to people that I work with around feedback, because in essence, that's an aspect of what you do. You go in, you critique and you give feedback about how to improve. And we do naturally shy away from it because we don't like to be told or be made aware of areas that we might be lacking in. However, I had an experience with Toastmasters, a public speaking group. It's worldwide organisation, started off in America. A lot of people would have heard about it. And I started doing Toastmasters many years ago, for 10 years. I think I left there about 10 years ago. But when you first turn up to these meetings and you've prepared a speech and you stand up to deliver it, knowing full well that people will then be critiquing it and giving you that feedback, you think to yourself when you're standing up there, what have I done? Am I crazy? This is a ridiculous self-talk I'm doing. But then when I got my first piece of advice, of feedback, slow right down and stop saying ums, when I got over the discomfort of hearing that I wasn't perfect, and then I delivered another speech 2 weeks later, and they said, you didn't say once, and you slowed right
Wow.
down. That was great. The elation I felt of achieving progress was so motivational, it overrode any discomfort around the feedback. And so you'd only receive feedback 2-3 times before you're super comfortable with it. And to the degree of, if someone didn't give you a harsh enough evaluation, you go up to say, no, Beck, give me more. I need more to work on.
Surely I did something else wrong. Tell me. Yes.
And so I want to assure people out there that bringing on somebody like Rebecca will be enormously impactful and enjoyable, because very quickly you get over the discomfort and into progress. And that feeling of progress and achieving very quick results is so motivating. You just start embracing the journey and you're rolling with it. The kind of progress you wouldn't normally get for a number of months or years down the track, sometimes many years down the track, in terms of communication, self-awareness, all those sort of things. And so enormously impactful.
Oh, huge. And exactly that, communication and building rapport and relationships, it takes time. And so it's generally not in one appointment. I mean, you can get the vibe like, oh, that was great, we really connected. But it's generally, oh, they came back is what we're really looking for. Whereas clinicians, they're very, results orientated. So it's just like, well, you have a problem, I'm going to fix it today. Here's my great filling or crown or whatever. I've now ticked that box, and there's my, so they work in that way. And so, when it comes to patient engagement and these soft skills, as you said, communication being one of them, it's it feels a bit wish-washy, I guess, but it just, because it does take so much time, you've got to work towards it, and it's those little wins all the time that you've got to be looking for, I think can get frustrating, for people. But I just want to focus on, because you use the word feedback, so I do want to focus on that if I can, because what I love is when I am in the room and I'm sort of taking that back seat. So I'm not always chairside clinically. I can just act as a little trainee in the background, which is quite fun. I'm like, Heath calls me the covert coach,
I love that, the covert coach.
Yeah, or undercover coach or something he calls me, yeah. So, but yeah, so I can stand there, and so I'm no different. I'm just like a pot plant in the corner type thing. But what I love watching is the obvious signs, the obvious feedback that patients and the team provide, but then the not so obvious. So obvious may be, obviously, you mentioned a disgruntled patient. They're obviously verbally upset about something, but it could be a bad review afterwards, or an FTA or a cancellation. And, sometimes those things aren't focused on. And when I'm there and I'm witnessing it, it's like, oh, that patient said something, or their behavior, or eye contact, whatever it may be. There's usually some sort of sign happening between the patient and the dentist, or thereafter, like looking at their figures and going, look, your patients aren't returning, or you're not getting enough new patients in, or your word of mouth referrals are down. Like, what is happening here? And having that outside look coming in and going, okay, there's a pattern here, or there's something missing. Let's talk about that. And then if I can see it directly, I can actually then go, hey, I think I've identified it,
With fresh eyes, things become obvious.
It does. And then same with the team. Once I've established that trust with the team, and you would know this because you work with so many support team members, when they trust you, they start opening up. And they like start telling you things that you can then, okay, I can work with that. There's something here, whether it's a team culture thing, or often it's just a system. They're changing a system that needs to happen because they're so frustrated, let's just work on this. And then that frustration goes away and we're happy. So I love that part of it. When you mentioned feedback, I just wanted to.
Yeah. I love it too. Well, I really do encourage anybody who's been intrigued by what you've had to say, Beck, and the contribution that you can make to dental practices, just contact you, jump online with you and have a discussion about your own particular unique situation, practice, issues that are going on, or goals that you want to aspire to, and find out how Beck can help you. Yeah. And so what's their first best next step?
So I'm on LinkedIn, so you can contact me through there, and I'm always kind of chat on there, which is easy. Obviously, contacting me by phone or email, or check out my website. So that has a bit of information on there about the different services. But hopefully from this podcast, you can best understand, whatever your needs are, I am a direct link to you, I think is probably the best thing to establish. So whether you're opening a practice or you're wanting somebody to come into the practice and help you with your team, I'm your girl.
You're the one. You're the woman. Well, thank you so much, Beck. It's been so delightful to hear more about this new consulting and coaching process. I wish you all the luck with both AirSmile and Stage Dental Coaching, and hopefully you'll come back on again soon and talk about all of the things that dental practices do right and some of the things that they could improve in to help them receive greater results moving forward.
I'd love to, Julie. Thank you. And I do want to take time to thank you in particular. You're so supportive of us coaches, I guess, and the consultants out there across Australia. So thank you. I know you've been doing this for quite a while, and you're so humble, and I really appreciate your support helping me. So thank you, Julie.
Yeah, you're golden. You've made my day.
You're very kind.
Thank you so very much. Together we can help all the practices in Australia.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lovely, Beck. Have a beautiful day, and I'll check you next time on another episode Moving Up Forward.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this podcast, then I encourage you to head over to Amina and my website, dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. You will find all the information that you need if you would like to gain our assistance in helping you and your team achieve great success. We've got online courses, consulting programs, the club membership. We also have a whole bunch of tools and resources that are available for free that will help you achieve your practice goals. If you would like to find out more, you can also email us directly at info@dentalbusinessmastery.com.au. Thanks so much for listening.